If anyone is still out in the hallway area and you're trying to attend the mental health discussion, you gotta walk past the food. You can buy some food, but you gotta walk past it. Okay, so I have been informed, you guys can all hear me. I don't even think I need this, right? I've been informed that we don't have as much time as I thought, so we're gonna probably have to hustle a little bit. We might not have as much time to hear from all of you, but I did bring the gong because I wanted you all to have an opportunity to hit it if you wanted. So maybe we'll just set up outside of here after. Because, like, who doesn't want an opportunity to do something this satisfying? Feels great, right? Come on in and sit down, friends. I'm going to have to jump into this. Just to let you all know, all of this will be available later. You can find all of this information online that I'm going to share with you now. So last year I had some people talking about taking notes during certain parts of this. There is absolutely no need for any of that. All this information will be readily available, okay? So, hi. Oh, I love it. You're all actually like awake and talking. Is it because you just got here? Fantastic. Okay, so if you weren't aware, I'm not going to trip and fall. I'm Snaps. I stream online on Twitch, and I talk about mental health all the time. It was kind of accidental that I started doing that, but here we are today, and I'm grateful for it. So I appreciate y'all being here, everyone who was able to find this spot at least. Look, they even gave me a clicker this year. Are you proud of me? All right, button. Yeah. All right, so we are going to be talking about mental health and mindfulness today. As I mentioned, like this was kind of accidental that this became what I do. I was just miserable for pretty much the majority of my life. I battled depression, anxiety. I was dealing with really bad insomnia to the point where I was hallucinating. Like, I have essentially been in a really rough state of mind for the majority of my life, and that's why I talk about this all the time. Because I really want everyone to understand that I know how you feel, I know where you're coming from, and I promise it can get better, but it's gonna take a little bit of effort. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. In the past, when I do my mental health streams online, and in the past when I've done them in person, we usually go into my story a great deal, but especially since I see so many familiar faces here, we're skipping that. If you ever want to know anything about my background, anything about the stuff that I've dealt with, I'm an open book. Monday through Friday, you can come into my streams and we can talk about it. You can ask as many questions as you want, and I can share any resources that I have available to you. For today, though, one of the things that I really want to do is create an environment that's kind of similar to how things are online. So if you've ever been to one of my Twitch chat or Twitch streams before, you'll know it's one of the greatest communities around. And it's not because of me, because, you know, I'm not going to take that kind of credit. It's you guys. It's everyone here. It's all of my friends that are so kind and welcoming to every person who comes in. So in order to have that same kind of vibe here and to make you hopefully keep your minds open, I want us all to remember that we're all friends here. So do me a favor. Stand if you're able, turn to someone near you, shake hands if you're into that kind of thing. You can do the little, hey, but just turn to people around you, and I want you to say these words. Hello, new friend. Go. Too late. Come on in and sit down. We're just all greeting each other. We're all friends here. Okay, so now that it's established we're all friends here, I want you to know that I'm comfortable with a certain level of participation here, but because we're limited on time, questions are going to have to be saved for Twitch streams in the future. So, has anyone here ever been to a Southern Baptist church? Okay. If you've been there, then you understand. That's the type of involvement I'm totally comfortable with. If I'm talking about something and you feel it, Riles is already doing it. You can go ahead and say, yes. You can say, I feel that. I like that. That worked for me. Anything like that. Because that's what happens in my Twitch streams when we talk about mental health and mindfulness. It's not just me talking about all the stuff that I've been through and all the stuff I've learned. It's me talking and everyone else saying, yes, agreed, awesome, try it, you'll love it. So church level of participation, welcome. Questions, unfortunately, we'll have to wait until another time, okay? All right, so as I mentioned, we have to jump kind of past my story this time, which is fine by me because I think you've all heard it plenty of times at this point. So as I get into this, what we're gonna do today is we're gonna do just 4 lessons that I've learned in my life, and then the 5 steps to better mental health. So while I go through this stuff, there are a few things I want you to just kind of keep in the back of your mind. And ideally, you'll keep this information in mind or these questions in mind as you go about your days after this con as well. So the main question is, what kind of life do you want to live? With a follow-up question, why? And this is really big. As content creators, as people who are in this online space, it's really easy to see something and say, I want that, but you don't know why. So if you want to be a big content creator, if you want to be a streamer, a gamer, whatever, why? What part of that do you connect to? And then reshape this view you have, what kind of life you want to live, in a more general sense. So when we talk about this in stream, I always tell people, go broad. I want to live a life of creativity. I want to live a life where I'm helping others. I want to live a life where I'm helping animals, helping the elderly. I want to live a life where I travel. Something kind of general. Because there's something beautiful that happens when you have kind of a general idea of what you want and why. Why being that really big key. Everything else is open. But if you go into it saying, I want to be the biggest content creator, and you don't know why, if anything doesn't go according to plan, you are going to be frustrated. You're going to be angry and upset. But if you were to say, I want to live a life of creativity, then your content creation is a part of that, but you could also be coloring, you could be drawing, you could be sculpting, you could be creating all kinds of things. So that's the main question and kind of sub-question that I want you to keep in mind as we get into this. What kind of life do I want to live and why? With the follow-up of, what kind of person would you like to be? And this is a big part of that, because the life that you want to live requires a certain version of you in it, right? A lot of us see these lives and we're like, oh, I want to be the biggest content creator, or I want to be the best at something. What kind of person are you going to have to become in order to make that happen? That's really something we need to be focused on, and that's why we're going to jump into the lessons and then the 5 steps to better mental health, because my goal is to equip you with some information that can help you create yourself and then create the life that you want to live in. Because that's what I'm doing every day, and I'm so grateful for it. But when I went into streaming with just the goal of being a big streamer, I was angry a lot. I was frustrated a lot because I didn't know what part of it I connected to, and I wasn't paying attention to the type of person that I needed to be in order to have that life. So if you're looking at a life of like travel and luxuries, you're gonna have to probably be a little different than you are now. And it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you, but we all have room to grow. I heard this amazing quote, to do something you've never done, you have to be someone you've never been. So if you want to accomplish some stuff, it starts here. And that's why we're here today, to talk about mental health, mindfulness, and some things that you can do in your lives that can help keep you moving forward and give you the tools to grow yourself into the person that you want to be, that you deserve to be. And the biggest part of that is I want you all to be happy. Really. I never thought I would be happy. Honestly, it blows me away still when I get to say that to people, that I'm happy. Because in the past, if I ever said that, I was like, there's a rain cloud somewhere around me, right? Like it's about to start pouring on me. If I dare say that I'm happy, something's gonna break. Like something is gonna go wrong. And I want you all to use these tools to go home after this con, maybe use while you're here, kind of restructure some things so that you can get to that point where you say, I'm happy, I'm confident, I'm committed, and you don't pause and wait for something to break. All right? So jumping in, like I said, we're going to do 4 lessons and 5 steps. So Lesson 1. Oh, man. I love all the people laughing because you're the ones that are like, I'm never wrong, right? Right? Always, always, always. Like, really, I limit my always and my nevers. I really do. Always remember you might be wrong. I have been wrong about so many things, even just today, probably. I'll probably be wrong in this discussion a few times. I encourage you to fact check me, send me more resources. I'm fine with that. I've been wrong about small things, like thinking that I could go sit on the beach for only 30 minutes without any sunscreen. And now I have this amazing tan line. Do you like it? You can't see it. You cannot see it there, and now you can. So nice little small wrong there. I've been wrong about bigger things, like believing that other women were my competition instead of my sisters, instead of my friends. So these things kind of creep up on you, right? Especially if you start believing that you could always be wrong. And that goes for not just your thoughts about the world, but your thoughts about yourself, your thoughts about other people. Always remember you could be wrong. We really have to be working very hard to challenge ourselves in the thoughts that we have, the beliefs that we have about ourselves and others and the world. We are blessed with access to information right now, and we really should be taking advantage of that. We've got to educate ourselves out of our ignorance. We really do. And ignorance is not a bad word until you don't do anything about it and you go out acting on that ignorance. We're all ignorant to plenty of things, and that's okay. But ignorance is defined as just a simple lack of knowledge or information. You might not have the knowledge on everything now, but you have access to the information. Use it. Learn. Challenge. I've been wrong. I will be wrong, and it's okay. And really, when we're here talking about mental health and mindfulness, I want you to remember that when I say always remember you could be wrong, I really, really mean it about your beliefs about yourself. Because if you don't question these things that your mind tells you, then they start to have a ring of truth to them. And a lot of times they wouldn't have that if you just kind of stopped and said, this doesn't seem accurate. I believed almost my entire life that I was the cause of everyone's misery. Because my birth mom abandoned my brother, sister, and I when we were babies, I thought, because I was the youngest, that I was the reason why she left. So for my entire life, pretty much, I hated myself. I blamed myself for everyone else's misfortunes. I blamed myself for my birth mom leaving. I blamed myself that my grandparents had to adopt us, and then when they could have been retiring, instead they had to work into their 70s. But if I had taken a moment to challenge that belief that I had about myself and maybe talk to one of my family members like, hey, so I kind of think that I suck. I'm the source of all the problems in our family, and I'm pretty sure that my birth mom left because of me. Someone in my family would have been like, no, you're way off. She left because she knew you would have a better life, and that's what you have. And that was the truth. So always remember you could be wrong, and the final part of this is a really big part of it. We have to stop trying to predict the future. Stop. You are bad at this. I'm telling you, I know this because I talk to you. I talk to people every day who are struggling, who are working through some things, and they want someone who they can talk to. And let me tell you, the biggest thing that we do to get ourselves in trouble is we think we can predict the future, and we're usually wrong. I thought I knew where my future was going when I was 15 years old. I thought that I could predict the future, and I looked ahead, and every option, every way my life took me, I knew deep in my soul that it was going to be terrible. So when I was 15, a child, I attempted to take my life because I thought I could predict the future. I thought no matter what, I was going to be miserable. And especially with everything, with the adoption and the abandonment, like I saw no future where things worked out for me. But my birth mom came back the next year with 3 amazing children, which is one of the biggest blessings my life has ever given me. I love my family so very much. So if you find yourself in this situation where you're trying to predict the future, do whatever it takes, like splash some water on your face, do the little face slap thing. Snap yourself out of it. Stop trying to predict the future, and please, always, always, always remember that you might be wrong. You might be wrong. And I would love to do just one minor exercise that I think can be really beneficial. I would like you all to say these words really quickly. I could be wrong. Oh my God, that wasn't so hard, was it? Let's do that a lot, okay? Because what that does for other people when you're talking to them too, is it lets them know that they have room to disagree with you, that they have room to have a conversation, that they're not just there to listen to you state facts, okay? Let's do it one more time just because it feels good to hear it. Just, there we go. Beautiful. Love it. I love it. All right, moving on. The mind-body connection is real. This is the beautiful lesson too. This one, we really need to pay attention to. Your mind can impact your body can impact your mind, and we don't do enough to be kind to that connection. And I have seen this play out. You know, like I mentioned, these are lessons that I've learned through my life, right? This particular lesson, I learned from my sister more than anything. I watched her go through 3 liver transplants throughout the course of her life. And every time that she was in a good state of mind, she crushed it. We're talking about a 24-hour surgery, massive, massive undertaking. But when my sister decided how things were going to go, when she decided that she was going to come through the surgery with flying colors, she did. Her very first surgery, she told the doctors that she was going to be off the ventilator very quickly because she hated it. She told them she was going to be out of the hospital quickly, and we're talking about a teenage girl. They did all but pat her on the head and say, "Sure, bud." Like, they did not believe her at all. They told her, "You're going to be on a ventilator for probably, I think, a week. You're going to be out of here in a few weeks." And she just kept saying, "No, I don't like the vent. I'll be off of that same day." I'm pretty sure it was like an hour after her surgery they pulled her off the vent. So I've seen her and other people thrive when they put their minds to it, when they have their minds in the right place, which is, I want to keep moving forward. I love myself as I am, but I can do better, and I intend to. So I saw the mind-body connection play out with my sister when she did amazing things, and I saw it play out when she gave up. Because unfortunately, I lost my sister before her 25th birthday. And I know, because I was with her hours before that, I know that she had given up. She had gotten sick unexpectedly from a cold that turned into a cough that turned into pneumonia. She was released from the hospital after 3 months in and was feeling great, and then in the middle of the night developed a blood clot and had to be rushed to the hospital. While they were there, they tried to reverse it, so they put her on anticoagulants to try and reduce that blood clot, and unfortunately, she started internally bleeding. So they had to drive her all the way up to Wisconsin from Chicago, where we're from, and unfortunately, she didn't make it. And I'm telling you, you have probably felt this from other people around you as well. You know when someone doesn't care about themselves anymore, and it hurts to see. It really does. And I felt that with my sister that day. I knew I was going to lose her. Before we said goodbye, I knew. So when my older sister, another one of my sisters, came to my house in the middle of the night that night, before she even came out of the car, I knew why she was there. I knew my sister had died. I'm sure some of you have seen this with grandparents. That tends to happen as well. When you lose your ability to do all the things you want to do, sometimes they give up. And that tends to be the times when we lose them. So please remember how important the mind-body connection is. Please. It really is incredible how much you can do if you keep your mind in the game. Your body can impact your mind, and your mind can impact your body. Did you know that smiling can actually change what's going on in your brain? That's crazy. Why don't we do this more? I'm seeing everyone nodding. Like, this is how I felt when I started going on my mental health journey. Like, why have I not been doing this? We know this information is out there, but we don't implement it. So the information I'm going to share with you today is in hopes that you will implement it, that you'll go home, you'll take this information, and you will put it into action. And I gotta say, it has been a real pleasure working with so many of you through streams and through coaching and through all the DMs that I get from people asking for advice. I've seen my friends wither and withdraw when they give up and they don't love themselves. And I have seen them learn, grow, and thrive, and honestly glow when they put their minds back towards themselves. And I want to see more of that. Got me. So please remember, the mind-body connection is real. We'll talk about this in a little bit more detail as we get into the 5 steps. But just, that is the biggest core. Be kind to your body, be kind to your mind, and remember, you're awesome. Love yourself. We're working on ourselves so we can stay feeling better. All right. So lesson number 3 is to trust your gut. Now, this one I used to just have very, very limited, just trust your gut. But I've had a lot of people who were very confused by what that means. And what I've learned after a lot of time and conversations is that a lot of you don't know when to trust your gut because you don't know yourselves. You don't know your own thought patterns yet. You don't know the reasons why you do things. So when your gut is screaming at you and saying, don't do this, you're just like, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it. We have to be able to understand who we are so we can tell the difference between when our mind is sabotaging us and when our gut is encouraging us or warning us. If I had learned to trust my gut a long time ago, I could have avoided so many situations. Like, it could have been minor things. If I had liked myself a little bit more and if I had trusted my gut, there were a bunch of dates I just would not have gone on. But, I was like, I don't know, I kind of suck. This person's being nice to me. I'll give it a shot. I don't have a good gut feeling towards it, but I'll try. Like, they're paying attention to me, and I really don't like myself, so maybe I'll learn something here. And the 2 times I remember doing that, one of the times on a first date, a guy decided on the way to dinner to stop by his parents' house and introduce me to his whole family on a first date. The next time, I went on a first date with someone and we went to a house party. I was like 21 or 22 at the time. And at this house party, he decided to bust out a guitar and sing me a song that he wrote for me in front of all of our friends. That was about how he knew I wasn't ready to date yet officially, but whenever I was ready, he hoped that I would consider him. That was literally the song. He played it in front of my friends. It was very awkward, and I did not know what to do. I said thank you, and then told him I needed to get a beer. Yeah, it wasn't great. So in addition to silly situations, if I had learned to trust my gut, I would have left some really bad relationships way sooner. Instead of me trying to talk myself out of what I really felt, if I had known myself, I would have known why I was feeling that. I would have known what it meant, and I would have known to walk away. Like the first time that an ex-boyfriend and I were telling each other that we loved each other. And when I said it, he slapped me in the face because I wasn't looking at him in the eyes. I would have left that relationship immediately if I knew myself and I knew that my gut was saying like, whoa, this is a really big deal. Sure, he didn't hit you hard. Sure, he's right, you weren't looking him in the eyes, but who cares? He just hit you. Pay attention. If I had known what my gut was telling me at that time, if I had known how to interpret the messages, I would have walked away. The next relationship after that, the first time he called me a mean name, I would have walked away. But instead, I stuck around and I let this person call me worthless for years. You've got to figure out how to know yourself so that you can trust your gut, because your gut is paying attention. And as a fun bit of research, when you get back, do some research on your gut, because there are people who refer to it as the second brain. It is fascinating how much your gut health impacts your mental health and how much your mind in general is kind of run by your gut. So learn who you are, learn to trust your gut, and pay attention to your thoughts so that you know when it's your mind sabotaging or when it's your gut telling you the truth. And this goes in a positive sense too. Unfortunately, I didn't trust my gut when it came to myself and what was best for me. Fortunately, I did trust my gut when it came to career moves. There, I was really in tune with myself. So when I started streaming on Twitch 4 years ago, and I connected with it right away, and I had that amazing gut feeling that said, yes, do this, I dropped one of the jobs I had at the time to pursue it further. So learn how to trust your gut, because it's going to help you avoid situations that you don't want to be in, like someone singing a guitar song to you in front of all your friends on your first date. And it might also help you find something that you really connect to, like this job, like being here in front of you. So lesson number 3 is learn when to trust your gut. Lesson number 4. This is a big one, and I mentioned that all of this information is available online. I'll have the link for that shortly. But the thing that I really, really want to reinforce here is that you are in control. You are in control. And you're not alone. How many of you have the little LFG things on today? Yeah, that's what's up. I like it. I like it. Okay, so aside from LFG things, do me a favor and raise your hand if someone was having a hard day and needed someone to talk to, if you would be happy to be that person. Okay, anyone in the front, turn around and look around at how many people just had their hands raised. Raise your hand again if you're willing to be a friend to someone who needs it, even if you don't know them well. Too many times we allow ourselves to feel isolated when we are really not. We live in a very connected age, but it makes us avoid this connection because we have it, I was gonna grab my phone, here, because we have it there, right? So please, remember that you are in control of your mind and your body more than you could possibly know, and you are not alone. You have people who care about you, people who want you to have all the things you deserve, especially happiness. And especially this community. I know my community for a fact, my Discord, if you come into Twitch streams and you're having a hard day, it doesn't matter if we're joking around and being ridiculous or if we're having serious conversations, we are always down to talk to you. So please, don't let your brain tell you that you're alone, because it might try. And especially if you're already in a pattern of isolation, know that there are some changes that happen in your mind when you isolate yourself. It makes you more likely to read other people's neutral faces as hostile. It makes you more likely to take offense to things, to be easily agitated in groups. You've got to work through that. So please, connect to others when you can, but remember that you are not alone, even if your brain is trying to convince you that you are. You have us here in this room, and I swear, I'm sure you have more people in your own lives as well. So that's the main lessons that I've learned in my life. Now we're going to get into the 5 steps. As I mentioned, all of this information is available online. All of it. So if you go to MindOfSnaps.com, there's an article that is all about the 5 steps to better mental health. This will be broadcast and saved on the RareDrop channel, and like I've said, you can always come in and talk to me when I'm streaming, and we can talk about any of the 5 steps. I can point you to the resources that I have, which are all in that website as well, and we can have any conversations about anything. I'm telling you, I really am an open book. And then if you want to connect with me on social media and talk about anything or share things that you've learned, hit me up. Everything online is MindOfSnaps. All right. How we doing on time? Ooh, we're killing it. I'm doing great, guys. You're all doing great. Okay, so step 1 is get organized. This is so incredibly crucial, and so many of us are not doing this. And I understand to an extent why some of y'all are so resistant, because you feel that you might lose your spontaneity if you get too organized, right? But that's not the case. So my personal recommendations are that you get yourself a planner, and you get yourself a notebook or a notepad, something that you can use to make lists, right? And then the first thing that you do is a word dump. All of the things that you are thinking about, that you know you need to do, all of the things that you know you want to do, all of the things you want to learn, all of the actions you want to take, including your relaxation time, your time to yourself. Write it all down on that list and then start breaking it up. And the nice thing about having the planner, and I recommend planners over phones for multiple reasons, but one of them is the overview effect. It is wonderful to be able to look at a planner and see the full month all the way laid out. Because if you see it on your phone and you have stuff on the calendar, it's usually just like represented with a tiny dot, right? And for me personally, every time I go on my phone, my thumb fights so hard to go to Twitter. So if I try to go on my phone and check my calendar, I'm in memes in seconds. Yes, so it's dangerous. So I definitely recommend, like, if you want to keep your stuff in both, by all means. But I think there's a lot of value in getting everything written down on paper, putting it into that calendar, making sure you schedule time where you don't do anything. Like every other Saturday, I'm gonna have half of the afternoon to do whatever I want. I can binge watch Netflix, I can just lay around and pretend I'm a rock, it doesn't matter. But I really think that organization is super, super key. And having lists is so nice. Being able to take that list and turn it into, here's stuff I'm going to work on today, here's stuff I'm going to work on tomorrow, and then cross things off, it's wonderful. And another added benefit of that is that once it's on paper, it gets out of here. As soon as you've written it down, your brain is like, oh, thank you. I can let that go now. I don't have to keep throwing it at you every time you close your eyes, because that happens to a lot of us, right? So get organized. That's the first step. And it isn't just about your tasks and the things that you want to do. It is also about your surroundings, your environment, and the people that you surround yourself with. So I don't know if any of you are familiar, but you probably are now that she's on Netflix, but Marie Kondo has this amazing book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. Great book, goes into way more detail than her show. So if you liked her show, you would love her book. But she has this amazing way of going through things that I really connected to. And she basically goes through every single item in her house, holds it up, and asks herself, does this spark joy? I love that. So tidy up your homes. You can go through her methods or not, but clean things up. Look at the things around you. How many of the things that you're carrying around with you do you actually like or care about? Like, after suffering a lot of losses in my family, I recognized that I was starting to get overly sentimental. I was holding on to things that really made me more sad than anything. But especially like after my sister passed away, I had a closet full of all of her clothes and all of her things, and I've moved multiple houses since then, bringing all of her stuff with me. And it just sits there, and then I feel guilty. So when I started finding this Marie Kondo stuff and I started looking at each item, I was like, man, I'm carrying around so much stuff that I don't need, so much stuff that doesn't even bring me any joy. So I went through all of it, and I've gotten rid of almost all of it. I have a few pieces that I see, and they remind me of her, and they're great, but a lot of it is gone now. And in terms of your workspaces or your kitchen or your offices and homes, your mind is going to feel better, I promise, if you have a tidier home. It really makes a big difference. How many of you have ever like cleaned your entire house and then the next morning you wake up and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm seeing the nods. You could have that all the time. Did you know that? Like, it doesn't always have to be a like 3 a.m. I'm going to rearrange everything and completely clean my house so that I feel good tomorrow. You know how I talked about getting organized and having a schedule? You could schedule in cleaning time. Wow, I know, right? Right? It's shocking stuff. So try it. And especially if you are someone who works from home, know that your brain is likely to be overwhelmed by task-irrelevant objects. So if you sit down to write, you sit down to code, you sit down to create, or you're going into your kitchen to cook and it's cluttered, your brain is probably going to do what a lot of people's brains do and be like, you should do that first. Clean that, move that. Or it'll just say, oh, just get out of here, leave the room. Just leave. And then you don't do anything. So do your best to keep your homes tidy because it's going to help you to maintain your focus much, much better. And then on that same note of sparking joy or paying attention to the things that bring us joy, organize your relationships, friends. If you have been in the same area for a lot of your life, you probably have so many friends and relationships that you don't want. And that may seem harsh, but it's okay. Not everyone is going to like everyone. Not everyone is going to grow up and stay close. But really look at these relationships that you have and ask yourself, does this bring me joy? Because if not, it is okay to walk away. And if you can't think of anything right now and you're thinking like, oh, okay, no, I think all my relationships are good. If you have recently left hanging out with someone, a friend, a family member, whatever, and your immediate urge was to vent, call someone and talk about it, or you just had to go and like kind of decompress because you were so frustrated, it's time for you to evaluate that relationship and see if it brings you joy. You don't necessarily just have to dip right away. You could always reach out kindly and say, I've noticed that I don't feel great when we're interacting. Let's talk about this, why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, and see if we can fix our relationship. But if it's a toxic relationship through and through, walk away. You do not owe anyone anything. And I mean that for everyone in your life. It does not matter if they are your parents. It does not matter if they are your siblings. It doesn't matter what they've done for you in the past, what they've offered to do for you in the future. It does not matter. You do not owe anyone anything. If someone is draining your energy, you only have so much of it. Walk away, save it. Put that energy towards those things we talked about earlier, those questions, what kind of life you want to live, what kind of person you want to be to live that life. If your energy isn't being drained by these toxic relationships, it can go towards creating that life you want, creating that person that you want to be. So step 1 is get organized. Step 2, get social and try new hobbies. There are some studies out there on happiness, and people have found that over time, the people who have been able to maintain their happiness the longest are the ones who had close social connections, the ones who felt like they were a part of a community. So please, join communities, make more friends, put yourself out there. Again, remembering not everyone is going to love you, and that's okay. You could be the coolest, nicest person in the world, and someone is going to be mean and think you suck. Who cares? Live your life the way you want to live it. Be the person you want to be. Like, you have probably all seen this. There's probably some celebrity or someone you know who you think is just the nicest person. All history on this person is beautiful and wonderful. They do so much for charity, and they're so nice. If you look at their social feed, someone is saying mean things about them. So don't let that potential negativity ruin your chances at actually connecting and interacting with other people. If someone doesn't like you, move on. It's okay. Do you like you? Because that's the key, really. And if you don't like you, then the stuff that we're talking about today, I hope is going to help you create that foundation to start learning how to like yourself, because there's a lot to like, truly. And then find some new hobbies. New hobbies are great. Doing lots and lots of different things, trying out new things, physical activities, creative activities, it's great for your brain. The more different things you try, the better it is for your brain. And if you're looking for somewhere to start because you tend to lack the drive to keep things going, creative hobbies tend to be the most intrinsically motivating. So you start something creative, you start a painting, or you start sculpting or drawing or something, and once you start, you have that natural pull that wants to bring you back and keep you moving forward on it. So try some new hobbies. Even just coloring in a coloring book. Like, if you get one of the coloring books that has mandalas, there's science that shows that that helps reduce anxiety levels. And creative hobbies in general tend to reduce anxiety levels. And speaking of figuring out who you are, what better way to do that than through creativity? Show people who you are, show yourself who you are by creating. So get social. Get out there, make some new friends. If you're in an area where you're feeling a little bit isolated, there are probably people around you that you just haven't met yet that are awesome and love you. Whatever you're into, there is probably a community associated with it. And I say that as someone who has been to a marble convention. A marble convention. Marbles. No, marble. Like marble. Is this, do you do something with marbles? I'm just like rolling them like they're dice. A marble convention? I don't know. But listen, if there's not a community in your area for something that you're into, create one. Look at where we are, friends. You all know where this came from, right? Look at how far GuardianCon has come from a couple friends saying, let's do a community meetup. Look at where we are. You could do this. I've seen it in Chicago. The Twitch Chicago community meetups are huge now, all because one broadcaster and a couple friends decided that they were going to start them. So if you're in an area and you don't know where to start, you can always use Twitch. Create a meetup in your area, or create a meetup of whatever other thing you're into. We're going to start doing mindfulness retreats. We've talked about meeting up to do meditation trips downtown. Like, whatever you're into, I promise you're not the only one. You're all special, but not that special. Someone else likes the same stuff that you like. Find them. Put yourself out there. Create these communities. Join these communities. And martial arts communities, I gotta say, like, hands down, aside from the gaming area or the gaming world, the martial arts communities have been the most inclusive and welcoming of any that I've ever joined. So I totally dare you, give it a shot. And there is no need to say, I will get in shape and then go do that. You can get in shape while you practice some kind of martial art. Like, I promise it can make a major difference. So get social and try new hobbies. That's step 2. How we doing? Oh, we're doing great. Great. Step 3, self-care is crucial. Crucial. And I made this really fun way for y'all to remember it. because I've always wanted to have something that people could like, what are they called? Anagram? Yeah, thank you. It took a second. So if you want to stay cool, and we're talking about, like mentally cool in this case, remember shade, okay? So that's sleep, hydration, air, diet, and exercise. Not that hard. Remember, self-care, shade. Can you do that? Is that enough? I'll keep working on stuff. I'll find a way to drill this home. Too hard. All right, everyone go home. All right. I like it. So sleep, we know is important, right? We know it's important. How many of you have a good sleep schedule? Raise your hand. How many of you are going to be creating a new sleep schedule next week? Raise your hands. Come on, boo. Listen, our bodies love routine. They really do. We thrive on routine. If you can schedule your sleep, your eating, your pooping, everything, like your body will love you for it. For real. And if you struggle with sleep, know that having that routine makes it easier to fall asleep too. If you have some kind of a cue, some kind of a bedtime ritual, and we'll get into routines later, if you have that, you can have a way that tells your brain it is time to sleep now. And when your brain hears that cue or sees that cue, then it starts to slow itself down. So please, sleep is super important. And we watched a TED Talk on stream recently, and we learned about this stuff called CSF. It's cerebral spinal fluid. Apparently, when you sleep, there is this fluid that goes through your brain, and it washes out all of the waste, basically. If you don't sleep, there's only very minimal amounts of this stuff that's going and getting dispersed through your brain to try and get rid of that waste. So when you sleep, it pulls all of that out and it flushes it. And there's a lot of science that shows that buildup in there, that waste, is one of the contributing causes of Alzheimer's. So your sleep schedule isn't just about the energy you have during the day. It's not about all the other million different things. It's about your future as well. It's about your brain health, your body health. And there was someone even in my Discord just this past week who came in and was having a hard day and they were venting. It was like a paragraph of anger. They came back about an hour later and they were like, I just had a nap and I feel so good right now. If you've ever felt that way, then I think you can probably understand sleep is super, super important. We do not prioritize this enough, and we have to stop glorifying this whole team no sleep lifestyle because we're hurting ourselves and others. So I'm going to ask you the question again. Who's going to be working on a new sleep schedule? That was slightly more enthusiastic. Y'all are lucky I haven't had more caffeine, I'm saying. All right. Sleep is key. I could talk about that all day, but we don't have the time for it, so we're going to move on to the next one. Hydration. Water bottles. Good, now drink out of them. Your pee should be almost clear. Almost. And this is obviously like if you don't have some kind of health thing that you have to be concerned about how much water you're taking in. Be very aware of your intake, especially here. Did you notice how hot it is outside? Oh my gosh, you need more water in your lives. Please make sure that you're hydrating. One of the things that I found really fascinating was learning that just 1% below optimal hydration levels is enough to start causing headaches, start causing fatigue, start causing a loss of focus. Like it really derails your whole day as soon as you start losing out on that hydration. So please keep yourselves hydrated and get a reusable water bottle for the future as well. Like we're nice to our environment here. So A in shade stands for not just air, but a certain type of it. I highly recommend that you seek out air, sunlight, and nature whenever possible. There's lots of science behind that as well. Did you know that your memory can be improved by taking a stroll through the woods? If you are in an area where you live in the city, make plans, since you're going to be so organized, make some plans to go and walk in nature. Go to a park, go walk by the water. Not only does nature elicit feelings of awe, like AWE, which is amazing because it can help with people, for people who are battling PTSD especially, awe is apparently really great at helping with reducing the symptoms. So get out in nature. It's great for your memory. It's great for your mind. It's great for your focus. Get out there. Like going for a walk is great. Get that fresh air regardless, but whenever possible, go and be in nature. It's really It's really wonderful for your mind, and I think a lot of you can probably relate to times where you've taken a day off, you put your phone away, you went for a walk on a trail or something, and you came out of it with new ideas, feeling great, maybe a little tired, but feeling internally amped up at least, right? So get out and get some fresh air. I know we're gamers, I know, but go outside. Just go outside, friends. Yes, there's extension cords. Oh my gosh. Yes. So, oh my gosh, y'all. Yes, go outside, people. Okay, D is for diet. I'm not going to try to tell you how to manage your own diet because I don't know enough to be able to educate you on that. But what I can tell you is cut out some of the processed stuff, cut out soda and fast food, drink more water, like we were talking about before, and in general, just be aware of your diet. Pay attention to it. Awareness brings control, right? If you just eat and eat whenever you feel like it, you don't really think about it, you don't take a moment to be mindful of what you're doing, what you're eating, and why, it's not really helping you, it might be hurting you. So please be mindful of your diet, do some research. There is so much information out there. For me personally, intermittent fasting has done a lot. It's helped me a lot with my diet, my stomach, I have IBS, and it's helped me to feel a lot better. So if you're battling stomach issues, or in general, if you know your diet is bad, pay attention to it, do what you can to change it, because that makes a massive difference on your mind. Your personality, your mood, your ability to control your mood, all of that is here. That's in your gut. 95% of the serotonin that makes its way to your brain it originates in your gut, and it travels via neurotransmitters up to your mind. So the stuff that goes into your stomach matters more than we give it credit for. If you have a terrible diet and you feel like crap all the time, they might have something to do with each other. So please, pay attention to your diet. And then the final thing for self-care is E, exercise. I don't think I have to go into this too much. I know we could all do a little bit better. Shoot for 30 minutes a day. It's not that hard. 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at noon, 10 minutes at night. But get your buns moving. Go do some stuff. It's really important. It's great for your mind. It's great for your body. You will feel at least a little bit better if you keep yourself moving forward and keep yourself moving in general. So are you guys going to be able to remember this? Are you folks going to be able to remember shade? Does that help at all? I am so good at this. And I'm the most humble. No, Goth is the most humble. We established that on Twitter. Okay, so number 4 in the 5 steps to better mental health is to have a routine, or 3. And when I say or 3, there's a reason for that. I think you would all be wonderfully served by having a morning routine, an evening routine, and an uh-oh routine. So the morning routine is how you set the intention for your day. Wake up, don't go to your phone. Don't go to your phone. I know that's very hard to do. If you keep your phone in your bedroom and use it as an alarm clock, put it out of the room. If you can easily reach to it and hold it over your head and stay in bed, get your phone out of there. Don't go straight to social media right when you wake up. You haven't even figured out what you want out of that day yet, and already other people are polluting it. Because even if you have a really beautiful social feed, there's going to be some negativity there. And you don't want that, not right when you wake up. I even saw a tweet just last week of someone saying, I just woke up and I already have 3 things to be mad at. And that was because they went on social media. So the first half an hour of your day, at least, don't go online. Leave your phone alone, play some chill music or some amped up music, whatever, but have a good morning routine. Get up, go drink a bunch of water, have some coffee, stretch, meditate. And if you haven't heard of or tried meditation yet, please look into it, please. If you take only one thing away from this entire thing, honestly, I think I would prefer for it to be, I need to look into meditation. Because that was like my gateway drug into mindfulness and mental health. I started meditating and it was just like, whoa, okay. I think I'm onto something here. I don't think I always have to be so angry. I don't think I always have to be so unhappy. I think I can do something with this. So please, meditation is it's not a religious thing, it's not a spiritual thing. It is simply, like, especially if we're talking about mindfulness meditation, you're basically building the skill of focus, and you're teaching yourself that your thoughts think themselves. Because once you start to recognize that your thoughts are thinking themselves, you don't have to associate with them anymore. You can have sad thoughts and not be sad. You can have really anxious thoughts without feeling anxious. You can have thoughts that are angry or frustrated, but not feel that anger in you. And as someone who I honestly thought I was going to be angry forever, getting rid of that was one of the most amazing feelings of my life. I really thought I was always, even after I started feeling better with depression, even after anxiety kind of disappeared for me, I thought I was always going to be angry. Meditation helped me with that. So if you don't know how to meditate, I'm going to give you the quick rundown here. Sit somewhere comfortable. The way you're sitting right now would be fine, except the goal would be to sit a little bit more alert so you're not slumping into your chairs and falling asleep. Close your eyes if you're comfortable with it. Otherwise, you can just kind of focus on the floor in front of you. And all you're going to do is a fun game. Your brain and your body are going to light up. You're going to have so many thoughts. Your nose is going to be the itchiest it's probably ever been. And your job is to recognize when your mind wanders and bring it back to one thing. And the one thing for most people when they get into mindfulness meditation is just your breathing. So for me, I'm thinking breathe in as I'm breathing in and breathe out as I'm breathing out. When I notice my mind wandering, I grab it, I bring it back, and I say breathe in and breathe out again in my mind. That's all it is. When you do that, that's like 1 rep. Every time you catch your mind wandering and you bring it back, that's 1 rep for your mind. That's 1 rep in building your skill of focus, and that translates everywhere. Being able to have better focus as someone with an ADHD brain is immensely powerful. Being able to know that I have tools to shape that focus, to build it and grow it, it does so much for me. So set a timer, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, even 1 minute, but consistency is key with meditation. Every single day, do it, 1 minute. And then check in with me in like a month, because I can't wait to hear your stories about it. And if you want more information on how to meditate, or if you're struggling, feel free to let me know. And as an extra side thought on that, the first several times, million times even, depending on the person, that you try to meditate, your mind might be wandering the entire time. That's okay. Don't beat yourself up over it. The fact that you sat still for a few minutes is still great for you, so keep going. It's challenging, but it's good for you even if you're not like quote unquote good at it yet, okay? So that's for a morning routine. I definitely recommend avoid the phone, meditate, drink water, stretch your body, move a little bit, really set the intention for your day. Another way I like to do that is through affirmations. They're basically present tense positive statements about yourself, and these feel weird at first. It feels really weird to tell yourself something that you maybe don't feel is quite true yet. But now we are in a place where I hope we know that a lot of what we know about ourselves could change. A lot of what we think is a part of us forever is not fixed. Your personality could be completely different tomorrow if you wanted it to be and you put some work in for it. So affirmations have helped me a lot because I'm able to use them to tell myself who I am based on who I know I'm capable of being. So if I'm feeling a little bit nervous, I'll say I am calm, or I'm excited, or I'm confident. If I feel like I'm kind of like running a little bit wild when with my thoughts when I'm streaming and I'm rambling a lot, then I'll take a break, I'll take some deep breaths, and I'll say something like, I speak slowly and clearly. I am articulate. Whatever it is that you want to tell yourself about yourself, if you're struggling with something, if you're struggling with your diet, you could say stuff to yourself like, I make healthy eating choices every day. Say that to yourself all the time, because your mind is listening to your self-talk and it's paying attention. So if all you're doing is reinforcing these negative beliefs about yourself, I'm lazy, I'm dumb, I'm ugly, whatever, your brain is just saying, okay, if you say so. But if you start telling your brain something different, it takes time to build that, but it is paying attention and it does work. It really does. So that's for the morning routine. Evening routine, same thing, like a half an hour before bed, put the phone away. You don't need to be on it. Let your mind decompress. You are taking in information every second of every day, especially if you're on your phones, if you're online, if you're out talking to people. I heard a number that it was 11 million bits of data that we're taking in every single second. And we're actively processing about 40 of those. So at the end of the day, what a lot of us do, after being on our phones, after being in front of our computers, after being around people, we go straight from phone to sleep. And what happens then? As soon as you lay down to go to sleep, your brain is like, hey, thank you for the break. I got a lot to talk to you about. Okay, so remember that thing you did in 3rd grade? Let's start there. This is stuff you can avoid if you give yourself some quiet time in the evening. So before bed, put the phone away, stop taking in information. Let your mind process what it has already. Let it go through and look for some patterns. Let it create new ideas for you. Let it start converting stuff into long-term memory. Don't just keep stuffing information in your brain and then expect to be able to sleep at night, because your brain has to do something with it. It's got to sort it, okay? And then the final routine is your uh-oh routine. Do any of you have a plan of things that you do when you're feeling bad? I see so few people like tentatively raising your hands. I appreciate that at least a couple of you do. This is really key. For me, you know, like I mentioned with meditation, right? You start paying attention to your thoughts, you can do more with them. So if you have this uh-oh routine and you're paying attention to your thoughts and you recognize you're having an influx of anxious thoughts or an influx of angry thoughts, if you have this uh-oh routine, you can suddenly go, okay, I know what I'm going to do now to kind of redirect this. So I'm going to go meditate for 10 minutes, or I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to use some affirmations. I'm going to play some calming music, whatever it is. You know yourselves better than I do. What things bring you joy? What things help you stay feeling good? Create some kind of quick go-to routine so that on the days when you're having a hard time, you don't get stuck in that hard time. You can let go of it and continue. You take a quick break, you do some of these things that are in your uh-oh routine, and then you move on. Are you with me? Fantastic. This is the last one. It's pretty simple, but it's very often neglected. Talk. Step 5 on the 5 steps to better mental health is just talk. Talk to each other. Talk to your friends. Talk to your family. Talk to a counselor, a therapist, a doctor of some kind. Don't hold it all in. It's not helping you. And if you do talk to someone, the thing we talked about earlier, you know, always knowing that you could be wrong, someone might prove you wrong. Some of these thoughts and beliefs you have about yourself, once you start talking to people and opening up about them, you might find that you're very, very wrong. And especially for people who believe that they are not allowed to show emotion, which traditionally tends to be a more masculine thing. Men tend to struggle with that, right? You have feelings too, guys. It's okay to talk about them. Yeah, you do. It's okay to talk about them. It's okay to cry. Your feelings are mentionable and manageable. Everyone, every single one of you. It is worth talking about them, because if you don't talk about them, you can't learn. You can't learn about yourself. You can't learn about ways that you could potentially help yourself or others. And this isn't just for people who are feeling rough. This is for all of us. Even if you're feeling good, talk to more people. You know, when someone is lost, especially through something as awful as suicide, we tend to see the hotlines sent out a lot, right? We need to be kinder to our friends and our fellow people. We need to talk to more strangers even, with kindness and safety, of course. But really, I think we would need those numbers to be flashed around a lot more, or a lot less, if we just were a little nicer to each other. Like, put the phone down this weekend. You're among friends here. Talk to some of them. Introduce yourself. Like, really put yourself out there. Talk. Because if more people start connecting with more people, this is something that spreads. And suddenly we have less people feeling isolated and alone, like they don't have anyone to go to, like they don't have a life worth living. So please, talk to each other. Talk to your friends. Reach out. Build the skill of listening. And if you are a person who struggles with communicating with others, honestly, everyone I think could stand to do this. Do some research on communication. There's a lot of fascinating things in there, and if you build that skill of conversation and focus and confidence, it is really cool to go out and put yourself out there after that. When you feel confident in your ability to speak on who you are and what you're into, it changes the game for you. So that was it. So we had the 4 lessons and then the 5 steps. I hope that all of that was helpful to you. Like I said, all of this is available online, and you're always welcome to come in and talk to me at any time. I really appreciate you all coming here, especially since it was kind of challenging for you to find it. And I just want you all to know that you're beautiful. So thank you for your time today. I'm going to go out front with the gong right now, so if anyone wants to hit the gong, we'll go that way, because I got to vacate this space so that the next folks can get going. But you're amazing. Thank you again so much.